Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big ideas. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating proposal for peace in West Asia. And get this, its big idea doesn't come from some modern think tank, but from the very dawn of recorded history.
So let's start with a pretty wild question. Could a blueprint for peace, hammered out between two ancient superpowers over 3,000 years ago, actually work for us in the 21st century? It's a bold idea, so let's dig in.
To really get this, we've got to jump in the time machine. We're going back to the Battle of Kadesh. This was one of the biggest military showdowns of the ancient world. But you know what? The real story isn't the war, which was a brutal, bloody draw. It's what happened 15 years later, the creation of the world's very first international peace treaty.
And look, this wasn't just some simple, okay, we're done fighting kind of thing. No, this was a revolutionary blueprint for actual stability. The treaty itself was so sophisticated, and it lays out ideas that, honestly, look surprisingly familiar to us today.
Okay, check this out. The parallels between what they were doing then and what we do now are just wild. They had a mutual non-aggression pact. Sound familiar? That's basically the UN Charter. They had a mutual defense clause that sounds an awful lot like NATO's Article 5. They even had rules for handling refugees and drawing up borders. For its time, this was some seriously next-level political thinking.
So, and this is the really important thing to get here, this wasn't just two tired empires giving up. It was a forward-thinking, strategic alliance. They looked at the world around them, saw new threats on the horizon like the mysterious Sea Peoples and a rising Assyria, and they realized, hey, we're actually stronger together.
And that right there brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer. The concept is to take that ancient wisdom, the idea that shared interests are way more powerful than constant conflict, and apply it to the incredible complexities of modern West Asia.
So, the proposal is for something called the Kadesh Region Union. It's basically a framework that encourages the major powers in the region to work together based on shared security and economic goals. It's all about building a future where cooperation simply offers a better deal than conflict does.
Okay, so that's the big idea. But how would a union like this actually work on the ground? Well, the whole proposal is built on four distinct but connected pillars. Let's break down the first one. Pillar 1 tackles, the elephant in the room, Jerusalem. The idea is to go back to the UN's original 1947 plan, which proposed making the city a corpus separatum, or a separate body. What does that mean? It means it would be an internationally run, totally demilitarized, and neutral city. You're essentially taking it off the geopolitical chessboard as a source of conflict.
The second pillar gets into something really powerful, using shared heritage as a diplomatic tool. A fantastic example of this in action is the Abrahamic family house in Abu Dhabi. It's one single complex where a mosque, a church, and a synagogue all stand side by side as equals. It's this incredible physical statement that religion can be a bridge, not a barrier.
Pillar 3 is all about the money. Follow the money, right? Just look at Egypt and Turkey. After years of being rivals, they're now working together. And why? Well, because it's good for business. It's in their national interest. Their trade is already huge, and they're aiming to more than double it. It just goes to show you how practical economics can totally override political fights.
And the fourth pillar is about identity and the words we use. The argument here is simple. Language really, really matters. The term Middle East is a colonial leftover, defining a huge part of the world based on how far it was from London. West Asia, on the other hand, is just a neutral geographic term. It lets the region define itself on its own terms.
Now, this isn't just about old treaties and new ideas. There is some seriously cool, cutting-edge technology that's helping to make this vision possible. It turns out, digital tools can actually help us rebuild a shared sense of history that's been broken apart by conflict.
And this stuff is straight out of science fiction. Using something called photogrammetry, scientists can take a bunch of old tourist photos and digitally rebuild an artifact that was destroyed in a war. LiDAR scanning creates perfect digital copies of entire historical sites. This isn't just about saving old stuff, it's about creating a factual, almost forensic-level record of the past that can't be twisted by politics.
But, and this part is absolutely crucial, the whole point is to empower local communities to preserve their own history. It's about avoiding what some people are calling digital colonialism, where outside groups end up owning the digital history of other cultures. Co-ownership by the people who live there is key.
Okay, so let's pull all these pieces together. You have the ancient blueprint, you have these modern pillars for peace, and you have the technology to help rebuild a shared story. What do you get when you mix it all together? Well, you get a whole new architecture of peace for West Asia.
The path forward involves real, concrete steps. Things like drafting an actual charter for this union, setting up a neutral academy in Jerusalem to manage all these digital historical sites, and turning places of worship into hubs for education. And the big theme through it all, it has to be driven from within the region, not by outside models.
And that really is the fundamental idea here. This vision argues that preserving our shared past with these new technologies isn't some separate academic exercise. It's an essential part of modern diplomacy. You simply can't build a shared future if you don't have a shared understanding of your history. And all of this leaves us with one last big question to think about. In a world that is so obsessed with what's new and what's next, could it be that the most powerful solutions for peace aren't waiting to be invented at all? Maybe they're just buried deep in the lessons of history, waiting for us to rediscover them.